Okay. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. We're very happy to have our guest here tonight. We have Annie Waterman from AOW Handmade, who is based in France, but we're lucky she's here in Portugal. We have Filipa Belo, who is based in Brazil, from Portugal Manuel. And we have Alison Phillips from Powered by People, who is based in Canada. Working globally. So we're going to start today to ask everybody to present their projects, and then we're going to kind of delve deeper into tools, digital tools that artisans can use to connect better to markets, and kind of the challenges that we see and how we have seen some solutions that those challenges can be overcome. So I would like to start with Annie.
Well, thank you. It's nice to see you guys. My name is Annie Waterman. I'm from the States. I live in Paris, and I've been working in the artisan sector for about 15, almost 16 years now. And I've been running my own business for about 6. So I'm an independent consultant. And basically what I do is I help connect artisan producers with buyers. And how I do that is I basically represent a variety of artisan producers, and I promote their products to get them in front of the eyes of buyers, and to help promote sales and connections between the two. So I'm really a connector between the two. Can you to the next one. So I'm an artisan rep, you could say. I work with artisans all over the world, just because I've traveled a lot and I've really tried to build a good network. And then I also do training. I work with artisan enterprises. I work with organizations like Aid to Artisans. So basically what I'll do for them is help create training programs to work with artisans, basically kind of what Fatima's doing on the ground, but helping them understand what the U.S. buyers are looking for, and helping them with marketing, how to market your products. So kind of working with the artists too on that side. And I do some consulting with brands as well to help entrepreneurs new to the artisan sector how to build their artisan brand, but really looking at kind of creative marketing strategies through newsletters, Instagram, things like that. So how I work with artists through the digital is all of my marketing is really through newsletters and Instagram. Those are like the 2 most powerful tools for me. So how I market artisan products is when I'm working with a group, for example, in Guatemala, I ask for their photos. I really look at what interesting stories they have to tell. And then I basically create what I find to be more enticing newsletters about their products. And I do storytelling, combining text with imagery. And then I send that out to my network of buyers to help create sales and interest. And I also do that with Instagram too. So I love photography. I also been taking a lot of photos. I studied photography, which really helped me. And that's been allowing me to help really promote artisan products in a visual way. And I thought that for me was the missing piece. I knew kind of how to promote product, artisan product. I had an eye for what buyers were looking for, but I felt there was a gap with imagery. So a lot of times I have to travel and take photos, and that's what I'm doing here in Portugal. I'm visiting a lot of my artisan partners in the north. I did. And I work with a company like Acola in the north, and another handbag producer. So I was taking photos of them as a way to help promote and sell these products in a more visually interesting way, because I felt sometimes the imagery is missing. So here are some examples of newsletters that I create. I don't know if you guys can see it all, but each week now, every other week, I'm promoting products from my partners, and basically it's just a way to get product in front of the buyers, because people are traveling less, they can't go to trade shows. There's it's expensive to do all this traveling. So for me, it's a really strong way to promote artisanal products through newsletters and, again, Instagram. So this is my approach to it. These here is just a snapshot from my Instagram page when I was traveling in the north of Portugal, visiting partners. And again, it's a way to connect buyers to the products and, show that there's a lot of humanity and people behind these products. And it's just going a little bit deeper. I think there's a lot of, I don't know, for me, it keeps me going to connect with the artists that I'm promoting. And I love photography, and I think it's really needed in the sector. So I use that as a tool to promote. When I was visiting a rug weaver in the north of Portugal, this is Fatima Gomez, and I really fell in love with her rugs. And I mean, this is an example of an artist who has such beautiful product, but she doesn't know how to market her products, so I was taking photos of her rugs in hopes to kind of get the word out about her items. And this is a product that cannot really be sold wholesale, but I was just selling some unique pieces retail, and I used photography as a way to do that and tell her stories. And also I gave her access to these images if she wants to use them. But I think that imagery is really missing in the sector, so I use it a lot again. So again, this is Fatima, and so how these platforms help artists reach new platforms. So what did I say here? They basically, I mean, I use imagery as a way to promote the products. Again, I mean, a lot of these artisan groups cannot go to trade shows now, right? So I rep these groups in hopes of saving them time and money from going to trade shows. Of course, they can't rely on just me. They need other forms of marketing and getting their product out there. But this is just my way of promoting and creating connections. So what do I look for in partners? Beautiful design, of course, design, and then story. Story is really secondary. Unfortunately, but design is first. That's what catches the eyes of buyers, right? You have to have beautiful design. You have to have a strong level of communication. I really try to find partners that can communicate within 24 hours. I'm quite quick on email, and I just need my partners to be quick too. Export experience, I always look for how many years have you been in business, level of trust. That creates a level of trust for me when I see their export experience. Strong imagery is huge when I'm looking for new partners. So unfortunately, if I see a beautiful product, if there's no imagery, I can't often work with that group because I have no way to get that in front of the buyer's eyes unless I'm visiting them. And easy and clear shipping is key. For me, working with Fatima, I had such a gap because she's like, here's this product, but you have to find someone to pick it up, and you need to create an account here in Portugal just to ship a few pieces. And then, of course, it's very unappealing to go through that process just for a few pieces. So my partners really need to be able to ship the product to me, even in Lisbon, So those are some things I look for in partners. So shipping is key for me. And I mentioned that again here. So make it easy for buyers to buy. But this is addressing artists and producers, right? Not brands necessarily, but shipping is key. And also WhatsApp. I work with so many partners through WhatsApp, looking at just quick communication, product development. A lot of that is done through WhatsApp and mainly email. WhatsApp is second. And strong communication. Good photos. Sorry, I'm probably speaking too long, but photos are key here. So that's a snapshot. Oh, well,
Thank you.
This is too long of a presentation. Sorry. Yeah, you guys need to speak, so we can dive into the other stuff later.
Okay, we can dive in after. Thank you so much, Annie. Okay, so Filipa?
Yes, nice to be here with you. I'm a huge fan of all of you already, so I was really happy when Fatima invites me. So I'm the curator and founder of Portugal Manual. How we can do this? Can I make like
you
this?
go like that. Go like that. Yeah.
So I have here, because that one is really small, we are a network for Portuguese new artisans, and we want to promote like the handmade products made in Portugal with ancestral traditions, with sustainable materials, and we want to promote them. So we start in 2018 in a when I moved to Brazil. You can change it. And since 2018, we are already a network from more than 70 associated brands or artists, because not all of them are brands. And we have more than 20 partners in Portugal, like artisan mapping, like Passo Futuro, like partners to promotion experiences, to provide services for our network brands, strategic partners like Visit Portugal and others. So we make these connections between all of these people. You can go. So we are the past with hands on the present and eye on the future. I think that like all of us that are here today, so our projects are really close each other. So it's really nice to be here. So, and we do it in different ways, offline and online. Offline, we used to promote a cultural promotion before the pandemic. So, and with this exhibition, we want to show how the crafts are transforming themselves through these new artisans. And we have the online, and in the online we have our website platform, and our main, the most important way to communicate is from Instagram. And then we have the commercial and consulting and the creative tourism that happens also offline and online. So we provide this consulting to the brands who are at our network, and we are content producers. So we are working in this moment with Visit Portugal, Tourism of Portugal, and we are producing some content to show these kind of places. Sometimes they are almost secrets, as you know, but we want to put them on the map, and we want that the people can visit them. So we are not actually a sales platform. So we want to reposition the Portugal Brand Award, tell stories, giving voice to these small artisans and projects, instigate sustainable production, you name it. I don't want to read all the thing. I just want to show you how we work online. So we have our website. We are working on a new one, but for now is this one. So, and it's like we have like an open portfolio. So everyone can go there to our website and to see everyone we have there. So it's free and you can use it. And it's funny because the people actually use it, and I can't measure that because they don't need to put an email, they don't need to do nothing. But then I start to understand a lot of new shops, and all of them are contacting all of the brands of Portugal Manual, or online shops, or then a shop from abroad. So you can move, and it's really interesting that people actually use it. So we have different categories like house, jewelry, children. So you can go and you can find all of them. And then when you choose one of them, you have like a short bio and the direct contacts. So we want just show them, and then all the other part stays with them. So We only want to promote their work, but then the sales, all the things they do by themselves. And we want to offer a place where they can have a voice. They can use our website to write like interviews, or if they have new releases or something, they can write there. So, and we have already a really nice statistics from people who goes at our website. So this is what for. If they don't have a website, but they are from Portugal Manual, they can use ours. So this is our goal. They can use our platform like everyone's platform. And then our jewelry is Instagram. It's our principal platform of communication. It's all organic growth, and it is really interesting what happened in these 3 years. And everything happens there. Our partners contact me through their new projects who want to be a part of Portugal Manual, photographers, everyone who wants to speak with me. They never use the website. They always use the Instagram. So it's our jewelry. And during the pandemic, we're trying to use it in different ways. I will show you then. But how we use it? We use it like a showcase for products, and like you see in that picture. And we use it also to speak about the people behind the pieces. So we always want to tell the stories and give them the place where they can reach 38 million thousand people. I don't know, 1,000, 38,000 million. I don't know. There's a lot of them. So they already have, because this new generation, they are digital already. So they has already their pages, but they use also this one. Well, all the curatorship is made by me, and it's difficult because there are a lot of people and different pieces, but that's my job. So we use it like a showcase and like a storytelling page. And during the pandemic, we start to use it like a YouTube, but I'm not in YouTube. So we start to do these talks. We start to do these workshops online. We start to show their workshops. You can see all the videos. Like we have like 1 hour videos. They are working. They are singing. They are talking about their difficulties. They are talking about their clients. So another time, we want to give them a place to do this and to reach more people who are interested in this kind of products. And we also did online workshops and consulting, because I'm living in Brazil. Before the pandemic, the people who used to react like, oh, really? How can you do this? Everything from there. But now they understand that it's possible. These two that I put here, these are the most wanted, like a guide for small entrepreneurs. I never say this in English, entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs, yeah.
And a workshop with a photographer to give them some tools to how they can make their own photos if they don't have money to buy a photo shoot with a nice photographer. So this workshop is one of the most wanted. And then we have the consulting for our brands. I just put these images here because this is so simple, just like, oh, this is a mood board, and you can inspire yourself here to make your Instagram feed, or to send a nice proposal to a client, or, well, there's a lot of demanding. So I am always asking them what they need. And if I'm the person that I can be able to make these kind of master classes, I will do it by myself. But sometimes there are some areas that I don't know how to do it. So I have these partners who will promote these kind of workshops, like they don't know how to find the right price of a product. So I can tell them this. So I invite someone who can teach them this, or the photographer. So it's really like a network. And that's it. Oh no, we have also this magazine, because this is a really hard job because I try to do it and I have two numbers, because I'm like, oh, this is a catalog, but then it's a magazine, and it's like a magazine because I invite them to write. They write texts about something. This one, it's they produce texts about the creations during the pandemics. So it's another way to reach more people, because they don't used to do it by themselves. So I am like, oh, okay, send me the texts, I will put all together and then give them to the public. So this is another thing that I try to do it, not that often, but I want to do it more. And that's it. This is how we do it in this digital world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Filipa. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Alison.
Thank you, and thanks so much for having me here. I'm really excited to share with you what we are building at Powered by People, and learning about the rich landscape of makers in Portugal, and learning about your needs. And so PBP is we're a tech company. We're on a mission to provide, enable sustainable economic opportunity for small batch producers who are producing and creating responsibly made products globally. We're building solutions, B2B solutions. We're a wholesale marketplace to help enable these small batch producers to actually be viable alternatives to mass-produced assembly line factories for retailers. And we're trying to do this at a global scale. Together with my other two co-founders, we saw a highly skilled workforce around the world that was underserved. And often because it's informal in nature and distributed. And we wanted to help use technology and other means to help solve some of the problems to enable this whole sector to grow. And we're taking our experience from retail, from product design, from tech and economic development, and kind of bringing it in to create Powered by People. We're doing this across three pillars. Actually, if you can go back to the last slide, we're doing this across three pillars. We have our wholesale marketplace, which is our at poweredbypeople.com. It's an online wholesale marketplace where retailers can come discover a product and transact on the site. So that's one pillar. Our second is financing. We're providing access to financing to makers on orders and provide retailers or buyers friendly payment terms. And we also have created other back-end digital tools to help makers become digitized. And so the whole end-to-end experience is as easy and seamless as possible and integrated. You can go to the next slide. Our team is actually is also remote and distributed. We're based in Canada, in Africa, in Kenya, in India. We have somebody in Turkey, in the UK, in the US. We're quite distributed and global. We also have somebody in Mexico. So we have people in region on the ground to support. And we've really felt like now is the moment. We want to meet this moment. I'm sure others feel the same way, but there's a sea change. And consumers want to know more about the products they're buying. They're more savvy about them. They want to buy less but better. They will reward makers who do this. However, they rely on retailers to be able to provide choice to them. So we feel that there was a hole in the market for conscious buyers at the retail level, and we want to be that source where a retail buyer can come and confidently know that all of the products that are on our site are made in small batch producers and they're responsibly made. Can you go to the next slide? And so, you know, that sort of leads to values and that we're driven by these values. We reward, we've highlighted some of them here, but we reward this, and we have a vetting process to ensure that our makers are export ready, but they're also socially and environmentally responsible. And we did a lovely collaboration with Fatima and in Portugal with this master weaver in Ratola as one example of that. Go to the next slide. So buyers, we have a network of over 50,000 buyers across predominantly North America, which comprises of independent boutiques and large-scale retailers. We're also starting a bigger, more targeted outreach to trade, hospitality trade, designers, and so on. But we do have that as organic as well. We have our marketplace is curated. It basically is like your own wholesale showroom or your own shop where you can set up online and you can tell your unique story, because as you heard from Annie and Filipa, that storytelling is absolutely critical and great imagery is critical. So buyers can come on, they can discover, they can transact, and we also enable what we call flex pay, which is net 60 terms on the buyer side, and we also give flex pay offer to those buyers, so they get a pre-approved $1,500 when they first sign up, so they can buy more. If you go to the next slide. And this is just a testimonial from one of the buyers. The next slide. We also have a couple of other services. We have our concierge service, which is pretty much like a consulting service where we will help buyers find the right source and the right products. We'll help them with custom products or customized products. It predominantly is with the bigger buyers. And we also have a dropship program, which we've established with very select retailers, larger retailers, where we enable them to expand their selection of products by, we invest in the products, it's very curated in partnership with them. And we're set up on their, integrated into their dropships system. So we purchase and warehouse the product, and it goes straight to the end consumer when purchased. You go to the next slide. So how it works is we take a 15% commission fee on all orders, unless that order is through an existing buyer, when we waive that fee initially. And we also offer cash advances to makers on purchase orders to keep makers' cash flow going. So if a maker gets an order from a buyer, they can choose, if they choose to opt into the cash advance, we would pay them a percentage of that order right up front, and then the remainder of the order is paid net 60. The next slide. And we're there along the whole process. So the maker, once an order comes in from a buyer, the maker can decide whether they want to confirm that order or not. If that is not the right buyer for you, you have the ability to say no, thank you. We can provide that advance if chosen. We will track that order along with you, and we will ensure that you're paid on time. And the next slide. So basically, you know, what we do is we give makers access to international buyers. We have other channels like dropship in addition to that. We offer cash, we offer advances, so access to financing on orders. We ensure a guaranteed payment based on our terms. And we really have a single source where like-minded makers who are making responsibly produced products can have a platform where they're sitting alongside other responsible makers. They're not sitting alongside an mass-produced assembly-made product. Next slide. So we launched the marketplace last summer. We have 185 and counting makers from 41 countries across the globe, and 75% of those makers have received orders. Some of those makers are coming on even recently in the last few weeks. There hasn't been a lot of time for them, but when I looked at the stats, we're about 75%. Next slide. And so here we are. We welcome you. If you're interested in learning more about Powered by People, just go to our site. There's a form there. You can also reach me, and we have certain criteria for getting on to our site, which includes: are you exporting already? Do you have? Are you small batch? Are you making responsibly made product? Is the design of the product great? Do you have great imagery? Those are really which are very similar to the other speakers. So that is Powered by People. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so I think that this is definitely a call to action for everybody in Portugal. And I think that all of these three projects work very well together. I think when talking about the Portuguese ecosystem, we have sort of the makers and artisans that Filipa is repping, so sort of a younger generation that is already tech savvy. But we also have the older generation who we value a lot, and we need to really try to figure out how we can help them to reach the market in order to attract a younger generation to continue on with those crafts. So this is sort of this line that Annie's really aware of that's happening in Portugal right now. So what I want to ask you is what you would recommend for this sort of situation that we're facing. I think Filipa, with the workshops that you're doing that are online, it would be good to have them in person and go kind of to the artisan communities. And Alison, we had spoken also about translating the Powered by People site to Portuguese so that we can start to sort of onboard some of the rural artisans in Portugal. So in your experience, I think, Annie, you've also worked with artisans in so many places around the world. What have you seen as case studies that have worked in these kind of communities? I think also Powered by People, you might be working with kind of groups that are working with several artisan communities that can help onboard them. What are some case studies that could be helpful here?
Well, it's a big question, but I think we just we can't generalize so much, right? Like when I was in the north of Portugal, I have key partners that I work with because I know the communication is there, the imagery is there, there's right? Those things are in place. But then you have Fatima, who is one woman, the last woman, that I know making those sort of rugs. So there's such a big gap. We have to look at these enterprises in that way. So I love what you're doing because you're trying to get someone young to potentially go be taught under Fatima, right? And that works for a Fatima situation. And then, you know, the Burrells, the other established organizations, I think, are growing because I think they're actually, I mean, I left Northern Portugal very hopeful because I found that the operations were being run very well, and there was a sense of younger generations getting involved, getting excited, and actually
Right.
wanting to live in more remote areas, seeing that part of Portugal is more desirable. So the younger generations that I'm seeing now working in the sector are really inspiring, you know. But then there's always the case of, okay, what do you do in the situation with the older generation? But I think that sometimes those products need to just be cherished and sold as specialty pieces, and maybe they don't want to sell wholesale, and they can't, and the price doesn't work for wholesale. And we just have to see them as master artists that maybe they should be at the Santa Fe Folk Art Market and just sell at really high-end prices, you know, sell their products as fine art. And so I think we have to distinguish the fine artist and master craftsman versus the export enterprises and really see them as two different kind of sectors within the sector in a way. But I see that as real fine art, and then so each one has its own level of
Direction.
complexity, you know,
Yeah.
but maybe separated a little bit. And what you're doing, Filipa, with the shop, you know, working with master artists and getting those products into a retail store, that's the right platform for these products, I think, you know, because they don't want to, some of these artists just simply don't have the infrastructure to ship and deal with all this. But if they have such a beautiful store to showcase their product, that is kind of a mini folk art market in a way, you know? So I think that
Yes.
really works for those sort of artists, to keep those sort of outlets strong, you know?
So
or
the
to
not
treat,
digital, the physical.
sorry, yeah, sometimes like in terms of that master level art,
It's
maybe
physical.
it's physical. But
Well,
then the products that can be sold wholesale, definitely digital, you know?
Well, what do you think about that, Alison? Because you talk about this sort of the small batch, and like the project we did in Mertila, for example, it's like, okay, this is small batch, and are there retailers who are looking for that kind of one of a kind where they're willing to wait for the lead times, or what is your feedback been on your side from the small batch B2B?
Well, I agree with what Annie's saying. I think that it depends on the channel of distribution and how to match that channel of distribution with the type of artisan. So, yes, people, you know, the more niche you get, the more niche the buyer will be as well. But if you have the right channel for them, like if it's a one of a kind piece, you know, maybe a gallery setting or the folk art show would be the right venue for them versus a small batch production run, right? That, yes, certain retailers will wait for, but you also have to take price into account and so on. So I think it's about matching the artisan with the distribution channel. And I think that applies more directly the way that you're describing the elders of the master elders in Portugal, but for the more remote producers, I honestly think we need to cultivate a really inclusive, partner-based way of working. So, like, you know, us at the table right here, what can we do together to support those makers to, you know, there's a wholesale channel right in this, you know, in this room, in this virtual room. There's a retail channel in this virtual room, right? Like how there's a consultant in this room. Like how do we together join forces to help support photography, help support the storytelling, shine a light on what's going on. I mean, we have technology that can actually increase capacity where you take multiple workshops that are distributed and you can you can virtually band them together to create more capacity and output. You don't have to all be under the same roof. So there are ways to do it, but it involves like being inclusive and collaborating together. If we're all working in silos, it's really, it's kind of it's pushing us backwards.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we have Filipa, I mean, we have us, Passo ao Futuro, on the ground working with Filipa, and then we can link with AOW and Powered by People, and then we can call like the young designers and makers who are here in the room, and you can link directly to AOW and Powered by People and Filipa. And so there definitely is this way that we can all be working together. And it is, I mean, it's very interesting from all of your talks how it really is about the imagery, the storytelling, and the ability to pack and export, you know? So how can we create we have these shared economy of services that we can offer the artisans in Portugal and help the artisan communities in Portugal through services? Because, I mean, I think once those are sort of set up in a way within municipalities or within regions, then even if the artisan can bring their piece to like a central place where shipping is done, and we work with sustainable shipping, then we can start to have, okay, that shipments go out every Thursday of the month of the week, and then all the artisans within a certain range of municipalities come there, and then the shipments go out, and then there's photographs that can be done within the different municipalities. And I mean, you have the workshops that you've been doing, Filipa, and how can we get that kind of like on the ground running? How do we get the digital tools translated so that they're in different languages? And so
I think we have here two things. One is those kind of movements that are already happened in the United States, in North Europe, that is these young generations who is full of purpose, who are returning to these handmade products. This movement is just starting in a strong way now in Portugal, and it's normal. We always have this delay from the other countries, so it's normal. So what I think is there's a lot of people who come to me, the same with Passo ao Futuro, and they want, oh, could you tell me someone who is working with this? And when we answer, but I need to charge something to tell you that. And the people react like, oh, really? You can just tell me? No, it's my job. And maybe we just considering giving this packaging with, if it's online platform, they want our services to give them these names. Maybe we start, I'm just thinking, maybe we can just start to asking a different price, and with this different price we can improve the photographies and the contents, and we give all
the package,
like,
we help onboard them, we help
like
digitalize them. Yeah.
Yes, because this new generation, it's easier because they have the smartphone. It's not that beautiful, but it works in every way. But the old artisans, it's difficult because we know, and you better than me, they don't have a smartphone. They don't know how to do it. They don't like to do it. So maybe we try to put this kind of fees at our consultancy. So if you want this, you need to pay to have good photos, and then you start to put this together, because just give the names and then in the other part they don't know how
they can't order, they can't supply the orders, they don't answer the emails, they don't know how to ship and pack.
It's on us. Actually, it's on us.
I think also like helping them to launch, what products, because I think, saying if we're working with some artisans, this was a question I had when launching a line digitally, do you recommend having a clear, concise product or a variety of products. So what's more risky, right? So for example, Powered by People, if there's an artisan that's onboarding onto Powered by People and they just have 3 precise things that they know how to make really well, they know how to pack really well, and that's on, and then they can start to, build their clientele and then add new products, or if they need to come on with a lot of things at one time. So, what have you seen working best? Because is it better for us to try to get people to be more simple and focused and then see that it works and then you gain trust?
Yes. I think, especially with people who are already exporting, they should have experience in knowing what works. But for the ones that are just exporting or about to export, it's better to keep it simple and be tight in your assortment and then grow your assortment. In fact, we're always challenged with having to curate makers' assortments, and then it's difficult because, as a wholesale platform, the maker or the brand, if it's in the case, most of the time in that case it's a brand, they want everything. They want you to take everything, but everything, may not appeal to the North American customer, or maybe it's not responsible. Some of their products are using responsibly made materials and some are not. Like, whatever the criteria is, I just think it's better to be tight and grow. But certainly we are there as well. We don't just open the platform and say, there you go, upload it. We're working with the maker. We're reviewing all of the assortments. We're providing feedback. There's also, things like pricing. Is like, we have a pricing calculator, and we'll work with the maker to try to say, to how to price your product and how to price it for certain markets, because, there's some misperceptions about that. And also minimum order quantities and minimum order values, and there's a relationship between the two, and based on what we're seeing in terms of the types of buyers we have, there's a lot of guidance there. So it's always better, I think, to give a smaller collection that's really strong, and you have reasonable, good price, like pricing that makes you competitive in the market, and you don't expect huge quantities, which small batch technically generally isn't, then, or super long lead times, something that just is a friction point, then, you're going to be checking the boxes off. And we're there to help that process. Yeah.
And Annie, do you think the same? I mean, for you, it's, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of, a lot of the times I have to ask, okay, what else do you have? Or you curate, right? The same thing I think Alison does is you just have to, I curate a lot.
Yeah.
I select certain images, ask for more images, swap a lot of things, and just kind of target my clientele.
And oftentimes the pieces that the artisans have that are more elaborate aren't really the ones that are going to help bring the bread and butter.
Yeah, what's selling is really like natural fibers and neutrals, and yeah, people are drawn to color, but they're buying color like 10%, and it's so much about basketry and the neutrals and this idea of like a sustainable home. So I think that's been a trend that's continuing and is going to continue.
Yeah.
But for years, just the naturals continue, natural dyes.
And then also helping the artisans understand, do not put this toxin, you do not need to put that glaze, you do not need to put this spray, like what are those, what is sustainably made actually, and how can we sort of like through the curation that we're all doing, help educate in terms of those details, which and
that's what's interesting about storytelling for me. I'm like, okay, everybody is talking about the same story, handmade, artisan made, right, we've heard this before, but what else can we talk about? Let's go deeper, almost like a journalist, where's the runoff water going, and what kind of dyes where are you collecting the dye, where is the natural where's the source of the natural fiber coming from? These are the stories that I'm really interested in trying to get out of the artist, because I think it's fascinating, and it's what buyers are curious to know as well.
Which
So-
is interesting, because that's what, with so many of the artisans that we interview, that's where their passion is, because what really makes a successful artisan is somebody who's passionate about the work that they're doing. And it's like all these nuances and details that, keep them alive, but then they think that people aren't so interested in them.
Yeah.
So it's like almost reinforcing the positive to have more positive, which is
Definitely.
really nice.
Yeah, you
Just on that note, I mean, more and more, we're actually bundling the assets, like the storytelling assets for buyers. So like download the story, download all the images, processed images, lifestyle images. They want to see these photos or videos of the products being made. So I think like more and more, that's really critical. I also wanted to mention, for us, we're always seeking products that are really beautiful basics, not just the art piece, but the tableware that buyer's gonna want to always carry, or the simple baskets. It doesn't need to be. Just like nice simple basics, and like Annie said, neutrals and so on. Doesn't need to be like the most unique art form. Those are the things that people will buy very sparingly, whereas the basics, and I think that the country is really known for, and can supply well, is like really simple, great tableware, textiles, basketry, but, nice, simple shapes, natural materials.
But Alison, I'm sorry. How do you do it? Do you produce locally with some partners these videos, these photos? Because if we are talking about these old artisans, they don't have this kind of materials.
Yeah, I know,
What we
and
have to do.
that's where we need to band together and
Yeah.
support and
Yeah.
support that.
We
and-
really
and
need a
invest in
team
that.
to like go, and that's part of the work that Passau Futura is doing. It's like, okay, let's go and document the artisans so that we can actually help them have the materials that they need. And even so, some of the artisans aren't using the materials that we're providing them with. And it's like, okay, we need to take time and sit there and help them get an Instagram account and help them have the photos there and help them use the content that we're giving them. So it is really, there is this grassroots, down to earth, slow work that has to be done. Because a lot of times the artisans don't even know the market that they're trying to reach. Like they can't have empathy with who's going to be buying their pieces. Like they don't understand that this simple piece is actually the piece that's going to be able to help give continuity to their work. So I think it's our job collectively to help bring light to that, and also you in the audience who are aware.
Like I'm working on a project now, and we need imagery from all the partners, and but actually we're hiring local photographers, and actually local photographers can be quite affordable. Or producing a really strong series that this group can use the longevity of their business. So I think that's something to look at too. Is as I don't know. Well, for me, I would say it's maybe the larger retail chains job, or if they want the imagery, for them it's worth it to hire in country and capture that imagery.
Yeah.
I understand the artisan enterprise can't, but I see that happening more, that larger companies are investing in local photographers to capture that imagery, because they haven't found other ways to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've also tried to work with some artisan groups and use your iPhone, capture this and this type of imagery, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's really
Yeah, that's what Filipa was saying
Yeah.
also with the smartphone, and yeah.
But
So
it's hit or miss, right? Sometimes it works and sometimes not.
Yes, and the thing about the pictures, it's really inglorious, because you can have a great product, but if the picture is bad, we have a problem.
Yeah.
And it's okay, we need to work on this.
But as a brand, like if you guys are running brands, I mean, that is number one, right? Just to hire professional photographer, get a series of 20, 30 images you use throughout for
Yes,
years.
I always tell that, start with the photos, because we don't have a website without photos, we don't have a catalog, you don't have an Instagram, you don't have nothing. So if you need to put some money on the photographer.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So there's one more question that I had. How do you manage the actual, so for younger and for artisans, also older artisans that I've spoken to, they're in the workshop all day, and then at the end of doing their pieces and working in the workshop, they have to manage all the communication, they have to manage the digital, they have to manage the accounting, like it's really hard. They don't have enough funding coming in to be able to hire somebody to do that. And this is kind of a block that I see over and over and over again, no matter the age, no matter the craft. And I was just wondering if you have any advice, since the digital we know is such an important part of helping them to connect to the market and in turn be able to hire help. Is there any advice that you can offer for that kind of mountain they have to climb? Because it can be really hard. I mean, we all know, because we've all started businesses and we've all worked the 14-hour days, 7 days a week. But, I think
that... for me, when I started Manual was just to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you don't have time, I can do it. But now we have this monster. But the thing is, if you have a partner, I am focused on the old artisans, not the new generations, because better or worse, they can do it. This is the truth. But the old ones, if there's a great partner, like Passo Tour, and then you just, okay, now we just put this together, we are charging them just like 20 euros per month. It's just a small amount, but if you multiply for all of them, you can pay a person, and you buy this tool for them. It's like our website. All of them can write there. They don't need to have one of them. It will be better, yes, but if you can't, they are not offline. They can use that one. And if you ask me, but they use it. No, but because they don't want it, because they could. And the same about Instagram. And I know that with Portugal Manual, we start a different way of communication, and that's why I think this has this natural, organic growth. But in the end, sometimes you see something at our Instagram, and let me know more about this person. And then you visit their page. It's not that beauty, but you already be there. So sometimes it's just like that. Just you have a partner who can build this multi-page and to reach them. Because sometimes these old artisans, they have Facebook. They don't have Instagram, but
most of them have Facebook.
If you speak about them in your Instagram, the people will find them on Facebook. The thing is just to put them on the map.
They just need to communicate in one way. I mean, or else I think it's impossible, right? Like either WhatsApp, Facebook. I think buyers are really patient, but if there's not one way,
that's the thing.
You can only do so much after a while. And for example, when I was working with Fatima, she is so lucky, the rug producer, because her daughter has taken over all the communication, and she's incredible.
Yeah, we've been seeing that more and more.
If one, I don't know, family member of the artist or can just say, okay, I'm going to take ownership over communication, that could be something that really works because it's working for Fatima.
Yeah, I think that we've been seeing that happening, and it's really helping.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
incredible.
It's really, and I think Instagram is a good thing for that because they see the feedback,
Yeah.
which is different from Facebook. But the feedback, and then the younger generation kind of gets into it. Oh, let me post more pictures and get it, and
Yeah.
it's great. So we definitely see that being a model that's been helping
It's
people.
almost like not like an intern that someone. It's kind of like a little mini partnership.
Yeah, and it's usually the daughter or the
Yeah.
son or the cousin or
Yeah,
That's
that
great.
could work.
And then those are the people who will be able to operate the Powered by People platform.
Yeah.
We just need to get training in there. We'd like to open it up if anybody, yeah, what?
Oh no.
Okay. Oh no,
Oh, Teresa.
oh no, oops. How did that happen? Okay, we'll bring everybody back.
Reboot.
We're still on.
Classic.
Yeah, we were gonna open it. Okay, sorry, the TV just died. But you're back. So we'd like to open it up to our guests. If anybody has any questions. Yeah, come up here. Yeah.
If you want to, so that people see who is asking the question.
Yeah, you can come here so they can see you.
Okay. So, can you hear me?
We can see you, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Well, maybe can I take it off? Okay. So, hi everyone. I work as a product designer, and I actually have two questions for Annie.
Okay.
More about like the process and this kind of gap between the artisans which are older. So when you work with someone, it's already like your artisan, it's part of your network, and he has new pieces, for example, but he's in the other side of the world. Like, how do you make sure you trust their products, or do you send a photographer, for example, to shoot the pieces in case you cannot go there? That's one question. Yeah.
Well, in those situations, I don't really. Okay, so the majority of the groups that I work with actually are selling wholesale. So when I meet an individual artist, I like to just, like I did with Fatima, I just kind of promote them, talk to them, get the word out about them. But I can't, or sometimes I'm thinking about maybe purchasing one of a kind, but I'm not a real channel for selling their products because it's so specialty, you know?
Okay.
Because at those prices, I can't sell wholesale. So those products in my mind should be sold more at retail. Like these really specialty products that Fatima is producing. But
Not me, Fatima, the rug.
Yeah, I think it's fabulous if you can, you know, but I'm not the platform that's doing that. I really work with producers selling wholesale.
Okay, and then the second question would be that, for example, when you are developing products like bespoke or custom made, I don't know, do you do that?
Yeah. So buyers come to me and say, okay, I want to develop this for my brand. Then I connect them to producers and help. Yeah.
And in that process, like when you can, again, like with the older artisans, when they don't have WhatsApp, for example, and you need to do the follow-up of the production, but you cannot go there. How do you manage somehow? Like, do you really understand? You can't.
No.
What do you think?
No, that's the thing. That's what you keep saying. Like, there has to be a way of communication.
Yeah.
You need one.
Exactly. I only work with producers that can communicate very quickly, send photos, have some sort of catalog, or else it's a big mess with my clients because I pass the communication over. You know, I'm not always like. So there has to be some level of independence between the buyer and my partners.
Okay. Yeah.
So I see those artists as a different category that really should just be creating specialty pieces and probably selling at retail.
Yeah.
through
Okay.
like a depository.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm sorry I'm not being very helpful, but I think there needs one form of communication: WhatsApp, something, email,
it must be,
Facebook,
right? So, it's okay.
and they've got to want it, you know?
Yeah.
Because maybe sometimes we do want it more.
I want to answer. A form of feedback, we are Emmanuel Bable, where we are in his studio right now. He's developing new lines in Tanzania with producers that are very remote, and a way that you can help by having a simple, just investing in a small telephone that can have WhatsApp. That's it. It's not, it's those small things like small steps, really small steps. And that's not a huge investment. It's something that you can then follow up on. And small telephone that has a photo and small steps, really.
Yeah.
And of course, then
They have to want
you
it.
have to want it, yes. And you have to have the capacity then to go there if, and then do a person follow up, because of course it's not enough to have a photo to know if the product is good.
Yeah, you
But-
feel it.
For sure.
And I find WhatsApp, like solid WhatsApp relationships are really, they really turn in, because you stay inspired too. I always encourage clients, okay, have a video call every few weeks, see how the progress is going. Like you stay engaged with each other when you're seeing each other on video and WhatsApp or Zoom. You can say, oh, can you show me your other products you're working on? It feels like you're there and you both stay engaged, because it's so easy when you go back to your own country or you're disconnected to kind of lose that inspiration and drive. But I think a solid video on WhatsApp really helps
Yeah, it maintains the relationship.
for both of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Also, Alison, when you talk about small batch, what is, because for your first question, that might actually be,
Okay.
you know, because if they've produced a new piece and they want to sell it on Powered by People, it needs to be a piece that can go into production, but like, what are the quantities, kind of?
Yeah, we have a range. I mean, it really, I think that the low end of the range is like 50 units a month, you know, that
Okay.
sort of, yeah, but it just depends. If it's a rug, it's going to be less than that. If it's a cup, and you know what I mean, like a ceramic. So it depends. We do have some parameters, and we kind of go by the American guidelines of small batch, but it's a guideline. It's not a carved in stone kind of scenario. So it really depends. Again, you know, if it's something's really special and it's low output, but it's incredible, we'll bring it on. If it's, you know what I mean? We look at every maker. It's not, we'll review it.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Come, here's the. Here's one.
Hola.
Wait, come this way more.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, here.
Hi.
Hi,
I'd like to make a question. I think it's more to Annie, but they're all also invited to answer. But I guess I would like to know what percentage of your sales would be B2B and what percentage would be B2C, and how do you see that? I think you touched a bit on it, the relation on people having to touch and to see and perceive the products before buying, and how can we combat that going digitally then? Because I feel like the storytelling is kind of trying to do that and to combat that gap. But what other ways can we grasp that experience of buying in person to the digital? I would ask.
Because you have a brand yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just do B2B. So all the
Okay.
producers and
Okay.
brands that I rep are either producers or their brands, and it's all to other retailers. So it's all
Okay,
B2B.
okay.
I don't sell directly to
Okay,
consumer, but
okay.
in terms of creating strong, catchy, marketing materials, you mean? So what do you do? So I can have a...
We create products and experience that connect the consumer more close to the crafts and to the artisans and to the
So
experience.
you have
of-
kits
So-
for making,
Exactly.
they have basketry making kits,
Oh, okay.
and they're also doing specialty pieces.
and also workshops to widen a bit the talk around crafts that we're passionate about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as we're saying, it's all comes down to a very valuable newsletter. So I use Instagram for inspiration, but really the direct to the clients are coming out of my newsletters, right?
Okay.
So my newsletters are the way I really communicate with my clients. And I really just try to get in the mind of the buyer and say really what is valuable to them. What do they want to hear? And you have to really speak the language of your customer, and really kind of more on a psychological level. So for me, I know that buyers, I kind of know their style, their taste. I know that they want something well curated. I try to find imagery. It's difficult to explain, but I think you have to kind of get inside the mind of your buyer and a little bit more through imagery, less text. People are not really reading a lot, but so it's more like they love videos, maybe interviews. So what I do is I have like 4 templates, and I work with a graphic designer, and I have my interviews, I have my news, I have updates. There are newsletters that go with more reports. So it's quite targeted, and I kind of organize my mailings by those templates. Does that make sense? That's helpful.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I just like to add a comment. Sorry,
Yeah.
Fatima. Because of that, like in Instagram, a lot of people from Portugal Manual, they are using the reels, those kind of videos, because they are really important for the algorithm of Instagram, and they can show the piece like in 3D dimension. So you can show all the piece. So it's an easy way to find the piece, just not like that, because it's really hard to make a nice photography that you can see all the angles. So if you make like a movie, you show all the piece, and then you can put something like yourself nearby, just to see the scale, because sometimes with these online buyers is the right size of the piece, and I have this problem even when I saw it like with a hand. I always need to see with a full person to understand the size of the piece. And these kind of short movies showing all the pieces, it's really important. So I think it's a nice and easy way to do it.
Yeah, and I just want to mention one more thing I've noticed that is interesting is brands kind of trying to create a tribe, so to speak, right? Like this apparel brand called A Piece Apart. They have done such an amazing job with their marketing because they know their clients so well. They have this specific women, right? And it's like these women are their tribe, and then every month they interview one of these women that kind of fits under their ideal client, and they wear their clothes, but they're also being interviewed. They're usually an influencer of some sort, so then that builds their following. But creating this concept of a tribe within your own brand, I think is really smart. So finding those kind of micro influencers that you can interview each month that can wear your products, use your products, but also it gives so much value. I like for A Piece Apart, I want to read those newsletters. I'm kind of curious about these women and what their lives are. We're curious people. So maybe trying to figure out how to create your own little tribe through creative marketing is a good strategy.
And there's another thing really important, just to add something, because this is like a concept of marketing. You need to find your persona, but your persona is you. So you need to, when you communicate, if it doesn't make sense to you, and if you are, okay, I'm writing this because my persona will like it. No, it doesn't work like that. So if you don't know who is your persona, because these kind of concepts, they are not liable today, so they are always changing. So the simple way is speak to you. If I see this, I will buy it. If I saw this in another context, if did I connect myself with this kind of message? Did I connect myself with this kind of product? So because if you don't, maybe you are working in the wrong product. So there's not a fictional person. It's like, oh, the problem's with the others, but the others is us. So it's the same. Oh, my consumer is another person really different from me. So it's really difficult for me then speak to this person that it's another one. So I think the easy way is just focus on you and then be transparent, because this is one of the main qualities of these brands, and the tribe comes from there. We have a brand in Commonwealth, it's a Lobo Apparel, and they sell boots and stuff like that, and they call each other the wolves. But the guy is really a wolf, so all the wolves will connect with that. So
Yeah,
you
that
know,
goes to that point of honesty, which is nice. It's like we're
Yeah,
that's what we're
authentic,
talking
just
about.
authenticity.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
be
So
honest
it's
to
important to
yourself, be
knowing,
honest to the
but
materials, be honest to the process, be honest to nature, and that's what we're trying to all of us support is this work that is honest to the human. So so it's I think that's a nice point for us to wrap up on, and how we can sort of support that. And did you have a question, Iago? No? Okay. How we can support that in our lives. So thank you so much for being here. I hope this is the beginning of a lot of work together, and we have the links to everybody's projects on the website, so you can feel free to connect with them. And thank you so much, Third Floor team and Emmanuel Bablet for having us. So thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you.